Hey, what's up? My name's Justin, and this is Be Real Not Right, or Burner for short. Burner Music Group is a creative house of producers, artists, engineers, photographers, videographers, songwriters, you name it. And today I just wanted to walk you through how to take samples when you're producing, songwriting, and add your own sauce on top of it, specifically with Logic Pro Session Player. So, that said, this will be specific to Logic Pro users. So anyone out there using Ableton, Cubase, FL Studio, you name it, this will be not available to you, though you can download GarageBand for free. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Session Player is available within GarageBand, so consider it like almost like a plugin, if you will, right? If you're an Ableton user, this could be a GarageBand download, and then you could drag samples in to create your own drum grooves or your own keys or synth leads or anything else like that. So let's jump on into it. Jumping on into the DAW, I wanted to start off with a couple samples here that I pulled from our Swag Essential Pack that we released late last year, based around the Justin Bieber Swag album. So we went through and created quite a few drum loops, drum one-shots, guitar loops, guitar one-shots, if you will, all around that style of like the R&B kind of a little rough, more natural production rather than very tight production polished like we've heard in the last 5 years on the radio. So love what Justin Bieber's doing lately. But that said, let's get on into the sample, and this could be said for any sample you have, whether it's from Splice, another creator out there, another producer that sells sample packs. So this isn't just for us, but any sample that you have, this process could be done. So let's just listen to the sample as is to start off with, and then I'll get on into what we can add on top of it. Cool. So there's a million directions you can take that. And before I get down on the session player, I wanted to mention, if you are a amazing keyboard player, like I always recommend, use your own ideas, like write as much as you can. But when you don't play keys or you don't play drums or don't even have access to a kit, then how can you program this? And even if you're not good at programming, this is a great way to do it. So what I've started off with here is adding in, to do this, you just go to the upper left-hand corner to add a track, and we have the session player option, and you can see drummer, keyboard player. I'm not going to talk about bass today because pretty much everything I cover in the keys can be said for the bass, just some specific controls to the bass. So go ahead and play with that. If you want to see us make a video on that, let us know as well. Could have some really fun content on that with like 808s and some other like Reese-based stuff, so I'm sure that one could be fun. But for the sake of time, all we just do is click keyboard player, and then we'll get one of these, though it will be set on a Studio Grand instrument. So that said, I always point out, like, go to a VST of your choosing, whether that's, in this case, Analog Lab from, Analog Labs. And we can also do Serum. We can do any program that you want, any presets. And this helps you just get the right sound, the right vibe that you want for your demo, your song, and instantly feel what it would feel like and then adjust from there. So I'm not of the philosophy of the mindset, like, let's get the chord progression right. Like, let's get the context right and then start toying with chord progressions, timing, rhythm, etc. So in this case, I just went ahead and grabbed an Analog Lab preset. This is a piano after all, but it adds such a different vibe. So I'll stop talking. You can check it out. So it's super cool. It has like this really mystic reverb, almost like a reverse swell at the end of it. Really cool. So here we can add a ton of customizations. I want to point this out just to say, like, to get the vibe you want, play with some of these controls. This isn't a video for how to use Session Player. I mean, there's a million videos out there done far better than we could do on how to customize this and how to really tweak every little setting. And so I'd go watch those videos. But this is just how can we, again, put it in context real quick and adjust some settings to maybe get the vibe that you're looking for. But I do want to point out basic controls like the chord progression we have up top. You can set that. In fact, the keyboard player will default to setting 1. I've already changed this to a different chord progression that I like. You can adjust timing by clicking on any of these chords and adjusting when they start, when they stop. So it's not always on the downbeat like you see here. But for simplicity's sake, I'm going to leave it as is and just adjust the chords as you see I've already done. And we'll go from there. But underneath the hood, so to speak, we can really see how we've dialed in this setting. It's not a lot going on. They're pretty simple chords. Some really nice like turnarounds here, if you want to call them that, like fills, so to speak. And so how we did this was really lowered that complexity and got kind of a midway intensity. Intensity is really just velocity at the end of the day. Really soft velocity will be really low intensity. Really strong attack, really strong velocity will be high intensity. So that said, I love to use the voicing for two voice common tone, but as I'll say with pretty much everything in music creation, like there is no right way to do it. It's really based on your ears, the vibe you're going for, the song direction. So these are just some settings that I love to use is right hand voicing, two tone or two voice common tone, left hand. I typically stick with simple, but you can do a lot of different variations. If you had a pretty busy like pop song, maybe you want to follow the right hand. So you're in conjunction with that. You can adjust the spacing of your hands on the keyboard here with these sliders. So super, super cool. Details here, grace notes, almost like ghost notes. Push and pull, dynamics, humanize. I'm really just pointing out the adjustments that we can make. So this isn't just like an AI tool. This isn't just like another sample. You really have every little customization as if I was sitting here with an amazing piano player and saying, hey, can you just make your fills a little less crazy, i.e. let's lower the fill complexity. Can you add a few less fills, lower the amount? So it's really cool. It's just like talking to someone, but you're adjusting this on the dials. So you've already heard that one. Let's go to the next one, a soft E piano. So this could be really cool on like an indie pop song with a little guitar layered over top of it. One thing I didn't point out that I do want to stop and pause to say is that make sure you set your track following the rhythm of to your sample. So again, we're doing keys. So I've set the sample, the drum sample to be the track it's following. So it's basically following any weird rhythmic things it's doing, almost like they're in the room listening to each other, which you would want your keyboard player and your drummer to be doing. So make sure you set that setting, the track follow. And then the only difference you see between these two, aside from, you know, this, the preset that we chose on Analog Labs, was some of the complexity. I'll flip between the two of these as it's playing, but you'll see the one we're currently listening to has quite a bit higher complexity, but a lot less velocity. So it's almost why it sounds like a pad and a lot softer because it's not striking those keys as hard. So a couple different ways you can take, again, a sample and get very different sounds out of it. So that said, I can get even crazier and go down the preset list, as I'm sure you guys can do as well. Like you can find some crazy presets and see what it sounds like on, you know, these MIDI notes. That said, these are MIDI notes after all, so you can go to convert to MIDI region, and this will flip it to MIDI notes. So I can adjust very fine-tuned details, like maybe the velocity of a single note. Maybe I want an extra note right here. You can make all kinds of adjustments. That said, you can go back to the session player we had. And I'm going to move on to the next patch we have here, which is, as you see here, named an ARP. We can do some crazy things with this. Maybe I'm working with an artist that's like, I don't really want like a piano, a synth, any kind of keys in my song. I'm more of like a hip hop artist, or maybe I'm a rapper. So I put in here a really cool ARP. I'm a big fan of RTJ, so to me this gave me like LP vibes, or Killer Mike I could hear on this. But check it out, and we'll go through a couple other examples, just kind of picking some at random and seeing what it sounds like. So I think a couple things to point out. You can see the complexity is the highest we've had it yet. Intensity is pretty low, which certain VSTs, certain presets, I guess won't matter, you know, the velocity that you have your notes set at. So be mindful of that. But again, let's go through a couple of these random presets from Analog Lab and see what we can get. So Let's try Take a Drink. That's some really weird music, but if that's your thing, that's cool. But let's just keep flipping through some of these. So you can see you can get some really cool things out of this, depending on whichever direction you take it. And that's just playing with a couple presets in one VST. We all know and love and use Serum, so play around with this on Serum and see what else you can come up with. But I'm only going with 2 tracks here, and you can see this would give you such a good vision of where to take your song, where to take your demo. Now I'm going to flip this video on its head and go 180 and try it with guitar loops instead of just session player, keyboard player. So let's go over here to the right, and we're actually going to take a guitar loop from, again, the Swag Essentials pack. Shout out to Rio for this one, for doing this guitar loop called Denali, based off the song Yukon, or in style of that song, that is. But I'll show you the sample, and then we'll layer up a couple drums and see what we can come up with. Cool. So taking that, there's, again, depending on the drums you want to put on that, there's a bunch of different genres and directions you could take that song. Just to stick in the spirit of that R&B type sound, I went ahead and punched in a neo soul type drummer. The way we adjust that, again, we add the session player by clicking new track, session player, drummer. And then from here, we can adjust what type of kit we want, how we want the drummer to play, just like we did with the pianist. So over here, I have this set to Neo Soul, which is at the very bottom with the R&B kits. I've really been loving these lately. Mid complexity, pretty high intensity, so pretty much every hit's going to be strong velocity. And just like we did over on the keys, you want to make sure your follow track is set to guitars, so that way the drums are playing in sync with the guitars. So going forward, let's check it out. I love this kit. To me, it sounds like kind of the drums on like some John Mayer records, or even like Songs About Jane by Maroon 5. So nonetheless, these are great presets. I would still take them a lot further with extra processing, etc. But this gives you, again, really great idea on where to take your song. But let's go on to the next one. I'm not going to adjust this one. Won't spend time talking on that. But here's another one, Modern R&B. It was in the same kit with R&B. Just right above Neo Soul. So you can hear the variation between these. This one's a little bit cleaner, a little bit tighter. Sounds like it was in a really, proper studio. Probably better mics. Check it out. Just a bit tighter, right? A little more polished. So as we go forward with this, some of the adjustments to point out. We can go to the details side and lower the ghost notes, raise the ghost notes. We'll show you on the next one, the electronic kit, but we can also adjust each element like the kick separate from the snare. Can't necessarily do that here. I would have to convert this to MIDI and make those adjustments manually. But as I come back over here, I can still flip through these patterns to adjust the kick and the snare. So maybe I want to go to, let's choose a random one, 7. You can hear that already put it in like a halftime feel. Tempo, you can come over here and adjust that even further. So if you didn't have that halftime feel, we can adjust that. In fact, let's go to double time and see what that sounds like here, just to get crazy. Kind of has like a cool UK breakbeat thing to it, but a lot of customizations here. Just like I was sitting here with the drummer and telling him, hey, can you make those hi-hats a little bit faster, or a little softer? So coming back to Neo Soul, maybe we want to take those hi-hats back to quarter notes. I'll go down to 1. Those are pretty close to quarter notes, and I could then convert this to MIDI and take some of those extra ghost notes out, or some of those rolls out. But that said, maybe I'm working with an artist that doesn't want an acoustic kit in their song, and I have this one loop that they brought me, or that I have, and they're loving right now, and they're like, I want drums on that. but acoustic kits aren't my vibe, I'm more of an electronic artist, or I'm more into hip hop, then I could come in here and put an E kit in here. Same way I'd get to add the acoustic kit, I would just switch this to electronic drummer on Logic and flip through all of these options. We have a ton of EDM at the top. We have several hip hop packs and alternative as well, kind of like an 80s, 90s synth pop vibe. But I set this to trap, and you can check out these settings, but it gives it a totally different feel. You've heard you've heard the sample a lot already, so hearing it with these drums, I think will totally make it sound different. I love that. Kind of gives it like a mic vibe, the artist mic. But again, maybe some of those elements I want to adjust, and so I'll convert this to a MIDI region. I don't really like that crash. It rings out far too long. And let's check it out now. Cool. So, I mean, you could do a million different things with these session players to really get like a good demo going. Like with just a couple of tracks, I could add in a bass player here and then layer that with a VST for maybe an 808, a nice Reese, something really fat. And I would have pretty much the bass layer of, a beat done. So definitely play with the session player to give you a lot of control over the sauce you're adding on top of it. You're not just finding another sample that fits the sample you already have, but you're adding, a real musician to your song and telling him every little element that you want adjusted. So check it out. Let me know what you guys come up with. Go grab the Swag Essentials pack or the Swag Guitar or the Swag Drum pack and let us know what you guys come up with. We'd love to hear the songs you guys are cooking, and we'll be happy to share them. That said, go follow us on social media, whether it's on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, at Be Real Not Right. And be sure to give us a follow, subscribe to the channel here so you can be up to date on all of the content we're releasing. And we'll catch you guys next time. Cheers.